everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today's the day we start painting the Stampe. Now before I begin, you saw the last video, hopefully you saw the last video, where I was doing the final 2 coats of nitrate dope with filler in it to get ready to start painting. And then I made a little teeny test board. Now that was just to see how well the paint was going to stick on top of the regular fabric with just the dope on it, and then with some primer. Now, as you can see in this test piece, because I had to make changes, a couple changes as I went along, just getting everything ready to go. You can see there's a big difference in the color and the yellow on this. This was sitting on top of the gray primer, and it just showed just pretty much just showed the gray through. And that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for the more vivid, brilliant yellow on it. So what I did is I went, and I think I showed you in the last video, went out and got some white primer just to make it lighter. And the white primer did make it lighter, but the issues I had with the white primer is, let me see if I can, I don't have a piece here that's in that state of paint. I just don't have another piece here in that state of painting. What ended up happening was, because I did more steps on the ailerons, and I'm finishing up the rudder now to get that brilliance out of it. The problem I had was with the white primer. The white primer, when you shot the yellow on top of it, you could still see the wood grain coming through the fabric and everything. So I decided that I was just going to have to go and do something just to go ahead and cover that so you can't see the wood grain anymore. But then yet at the same time, not putting the darker primer on there. So what I did is over the yellow on these, on the ailerons, as well as the rudder, and I'll show you the rudder. Right now the rudder's got one side of it's just white paint. What I did is I went out and got some, it's around here somewhere, I got some white enamel spray paint and shot that over the top of it. And it did 2 things. It limited the amount of light flashing through on the open surfaces here, on the open bays, because you can see it, and I really don't like that, and I didn't want to see it. So I wanted to have something that, if it wasn't going to stop it, it was at least going to mute it, because on my Piper Cub, my quarter scale Piper Cub, that's white, that was just 3 coats of white paint on it, and you can't see through it because the white does a really good job of blocking the light coming through. And with the white primer, it was a little bit less opaque, so it let a little bit of light go through it, and that I didn't want. So so this has 2 coats of yellow, a coat of white, and then 1 more coat of yellow over the top of it. And now it brought back that kind of that brilliance on the yellow that I was looking for on the wings, and you don't have to worry about seeing the wood grain through it. It's been fun. All right, now with the rudder, you're going to see a little bit of flash as it goes by it, probably because where I was spraying it, you had a little bit just going underneath and sticking to this side of the yellow. But what I'm doing is I'm coming in and I'm go ahead and I'm painting the whole thing. And as you can see, as I get closer, you can still see a little bit of light coming through it. So, but as I hold it up like this, you can still see the stringers going through it. And that's what I was trying to get away from. So you can see as I turn it around, you can even see more of the stringers coming through it. So let me go ahead and get the other side painted up, shoot another coat of yellow on either side, and then we're going to consider this part done, ready to go. All right, I got the fuselage in the other room, sitting on the bench, waiting to go ahead and spray it. I've got all the white already sprayed on it. Let's go ahead and shoot some yellow on there. Hopefully the lighting will be nice for you. Hopefully. All right, what I'm going to do here first, I'm going to come on in. I'm going to get the bottom part of the tail done first. So the elevator, the horizontal stabilizer, this will get done first. And then I'm going to come and just do the bottom, shoot the bottom all the way up to the front. And then after about 15-20 minutes, I can go ahead and then I'll take it off this stand, put it down onto some little riser blocks, and then go ahead and then I can shoot the sides and the top all at the same time. Wish me luck. All right, I've got the fuselage right side up again, up on a couple risers, couple 6-inch risers. Let's go back and get it sprayed. right, that's looking pretty good. As soon as it tidies up, I'll bring it back in just so we can get a little bit better look at it, possibly with better lighting. That sounds good to you guys. All right, before the rain clouds come in and start dripping water, let's head into the shop and I'll show you where everything's at with the Stampe. And before we head in, yeah, she's still sitting there. Don't worry, she'll be back in the shop in about 1 month when the Stampe is ready for its maiden flight. All right, as y'all can see, there's a whole lot of yellow on that workbench. So everything is done, yellow-wise done. And the way that I painted the yellow on, I had to, early in the video, you understood the problems I was having with it. So what it ended up being was 2 coats of white primer, because the white primer didn't do anything near than what you thought it should do. Even though it's white primer, it still didn't really cover like white. It was, even though white's a solid, it just wasn't, because it didn't have the color that the gray or the darker gray had, it just wouldn't cover. So originally I started off with just 2 coats of white primer and it didn't work, and you guys saw that in the beginning part of the video. So everything on the plane got 1 coat of white paint. So it was 2 coats of primer, 1 coat of white paint, and then 2 coats of yellow. Regardless of the minimum amount of weight that it saved, the bottom of the wings only have 1 coat of yellow on it. Because 2 reasons. First of all, remember, this is going to be a fun flying airplane. It's nothing, it's not even close to scale. So I'm not even calling it a scale. It's some places call them semi-scales. Some places have just called them fun scales. So I'm going with a fun scale because my whole thing behind this plane, I want to go out and fly it and have fun. That's it. Just as long as the plane flies good and I smile, that's what this whole plane's about. So the plane itself, all the painting came out more than adequate. It's if you can see it the way that I see it, because I'm very self-critical of my work, you can tell that I could have taken more time to get everything a little bit tidier. In the future, I will be doing, instead of 2 coats of nitrate dope on the wood, I'll probably be doing 3 to 4 and getting a much better sand down, especially on the Fokker, because I want that one to come out as nice as I can get it for what it is. So it'll be 3 to 4 coats of nitrate dope with sanding between coats 2, 3, and 4. So it's going to have a little bit of sanding between coats 1 and 2, a little more between 2 and 3, and then 3 and 4, and then 1 final after the 4th. So there's going to be a whole lot of sanding on the Fokker. And that's just to get it to the point where I'm much happier. Certain parts of this, the rudder, perfect. No complaints. The tail came out pretty good. If I wanted to bring you guys in and give you a really close look up, she'd sit there and say, yeah, that kind of spot's a little, it's kind of, but remember what this plane's for. It's about having fun. So anyway, coming down to the black paint. The only thing black that I sprayed so far was the cockpit. And this was literally just white paint and then black on the top of it, because it only takes 1 coat of black paint to cover everything. So that's why I like spraying black paint, because it's real quick and easy. And I've never had to run with black paint because it's just 1 coat, so it's not even heavy. Now the inside of this, it's going to be shiny on the top, shiny on the sides, but I'm going to paint the inside of these things flat black with a brush. Just to take some of that shininess off of it, and it'll be fine. So I'm not concerned about that. All right, the way that the lines are going to go on the fuselage is this little line right here. That is going to be the divider. So right below this one, and it's kind of went up and down a little bit, so I got to work with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from underneath the wing, and I don't know how it's going to terminate up. I may just keep it underneath and just very slowly bring it up, or I've seen pictures where they've done this with Stampes, and it just kind of goes in, angles up, and then just comes back and wraps around the top. So that's my goal with this. So the line is going to come down here, and of course the cockpit's going to sit up here. So it's going to come down, so it's going to be right below this. Because I don't want it right on this line, but I want it right below this. So I'll have maybe a 1/16 of an inch down here. So that way the seam on this will look a little bit tidier. So it'll come down here, come across the front of the cockpit, and then this is the hard side to look at because you're not going to really see it. But it's going to come across here, loop back down around the bottom, slope off down here, and then just wrap right underneath the bottom of the cowling. So when you look at it from the front, the whole front of this will be black. But then as you come around, you're going to see it's not quite a teardrop shape, but it's going to kind of just come. It's a compounding curve that just goes ahead and just slopes off slowly underneath. So that will look very good for that. So when it comes down to the wings, once again, we're going to have it come in so that we're going to have the orb, the half circle through here, and that's why I'm calling it a sunburst, not a starburst. So it's going to come from here all the way across to the front, and then we're going to probably shoot off one down here out this way, because in that picture you saw that it had one out to the tip, one this way, and then 1, 2, 3. I might still do that, haven't decided yet. But minimum, I'm going to do one that's going to come off like this and fan out this way, and then I'll have one that goes full length down there. So I think that's going to look pretty good. But I will, I'll be spending probably about, I don't know, a good 45 minutes to an hour just doing a little test piece, and you guys will see that. Just how I kind of want to have everything somewhat set up with some tape itself, with some paper. And even though it won't be a final stick down, it's just going to have a little piece of tape here and a little piece of tape down here on paper, just because I want to get a good idea of how I want these bursts to come off the sun part that's going to be right up in here. All right, and the one piece that you haven't seen, it's here somewhere. I think it's in the tool. It's in the box with the rest of the parts. It's a little teeny half shell that covers the landing gear, the rear landing gear. That's all been painted yellow, so I think it's over there in my little parts box. And then the parts that are going to be painted black is going to be, of course, the end struts, because right now it's just silver aluminum, so that'll get painted black. And I'm not worried about aluminum based primer because that's anodized aluminum, so I'm not too worried about that stuff. And if it does flake off, a little more black spray paint will just touch that up. And landing gear, I want the landing gear to be black too as well on this one. So that's pretty much it. That was about a day and a half, just going through the battle of the initial part on how I wanted to take care of getting the yellow to come out the way that I wanted it to come out. It does have minimum light bleed through. Took it outside in the sun before the rain clouds started coming in to take a look at it, and I consider it highly acceptable, so I'm happy with that. And it's like I said earlier, that's the way that things will be done on the Fokker. So anyway, let's go ahead, let's call this a video. Next week I'll see you. We'll break out the black spray paint, make some bursts. We'll go ahead, paint the top of the turtle deck all the way up to the nose, and then decide if I want to do something with the rudder. And for all those watching these videos, anybody out there that's got a little vinyl printer, can print logos. It only needs to be probably about yay big, about 3 inches long. Stampe STMPE. It's a little logo. You can see it online. I'm just saying. Presents are nice. So I will see you guys next time. I'm back down in the shop.